Are you unknowingly wasting money on things that silently drain your wallet every single day? Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people on earth, has warned about 16 things people throw money at that bring zero value. These small, everyday choices are what keep you from reaching financial freedom and stop you from building sustainable wealth. In this video, I'll reveal those common mistakes and break down personal finance lessons directly from Buffett's mindset. Stick around to the end. I'll share Buffett's go-to wealth-building secret that almost no one talks about. 1. Buying luxury cars. After reflecting on how Warren Buffett lives a billionaire with a simple but razor-sharp mindset, I began asking myself, does my daily spending really bring value, or am I just satisfying temporary desires? And that question led me to one of the most common mistakes many people, myself included, have made: buying luxury cars. I remember the first time I stood in front of a sparkling sports car. Its metallic shine, the scent of new leather inside, the advanced technology on the dashboard making my heart race. It felt like a reward for my relentless efforts. But then I realized, as Buffett once said, buying something you don't need will cause you to sell something you need. This seemingly simple statement holds a brutal truth. When we constantly spend on things just to show off, we soon lose what matters more: financial security, freedom, or long-term investment opportunities. What many people fail to realize is that the moment you drive a luxury car off the dealership lot, it immediately loses value. A new car worth $70,000 can drop by $10,000 within the first few months simply because it's no longer new. And that's just the beginning. The ongoing costs from expensive maintenance, high replacement parts, to sky-high insurance keep draining your wallet. That luxury car becomes nothing more than a moving death. I used to believe that owning a luxury car would make me feel more successful. But then I learned from true successful people. They don't buy cars to impress others. They buy cars to serve their financial goals. Look at Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. He used to drive a Honda Fit. Or Jeff Bezos, the former CEO of Amazon, who drove a Honda Accord for years. They didn't need a car to prove anything because their real wealth wasn't in their image. It was in the value they created. And I made the decision to change. I chose a fuel-efficient, reliable car that isn't flashy but gets the job done every day. The money I saved, I invested it in stocks, in index funds, in real assets that generate returns. And little by little, I began to feel the difference. I wasn't controlled by money anymore. I was starting to control my money. Remember, true wealth doesn't come from what you show off, but from what you keep. A luxury car may earn admiration for a moment, but a smart decision will grant you freedom for a lifetime. And you can start today by making smarter choices with your money. 2. Overpriced homes. I used to think that owning a luxury car was a symbol of success, but after stopping, reflecting, and changing, I realized that true success isn't in the outward glamour. And then I began to reassess other financial decisions in my life, especially the house I was living in. Many people, including my past self, always believed that a big, beautiful house with a spacious living room, a pool in the yard, and a garage big enough for 3 cars was the American dream to chase. But in reality, that very dream is unknowingly becoming a financial burden that few recognize. For 60 long years, Warren Buffett has remained in the same humble abode he purchased back in 1958. And there he stays, unwavering, even as his fortune has swelled to dizzying billions of dollars. Why would someone who could buy any mansion in the world choose to live like that? Because he understands what many overlook. A big house doesn't equate to happiness or financial freedom. It comes with a slew of enormous costs, from skyrocketing property taxes to ongoing maintenance, repairs, and utility bills, all quietly eating away at your bank account. I remember a friend of mine who worked in tech in Silicon Valley. He splurged on a nearly $2 million mansion. At first, everything was wonderful, until the bills started piling up: property taxes, gardening costs, furnace repairs, electrical system upgrades. And worse yet, he no longer had money left to invest or save for long-term goals. The house slowly became a golden cage, beautiful, but full of constraints. As for me, I chose a different path. A house just big enough, neither too big nor too small. A cozy space to live, work, and nurture my family. Thanks to that, I had the financial freedom to invest in stocks, retirement funds, and even small entrepreneurial projects that brought in passive income. Wealth isn't measured by the size of your house, but by the expansiveness of your mindset. You don't have to live like a billionaire to learn how to think like one. And sometimes, restraint is the very lever that brings us closer to true financial freedom. You don't need a mansion to live a life worth dreaming about. You only need enough to live, enough to be happy, and enough to invest in your future. 3. Designer clothing. After I let go of the pressure to own a big, impressive home, I started reevaluating my closet. And you know what? I was shocked to see how many pieces I never wore, yet had paid top dollar for, all because of the label. This is a trap many people fall into, including my past self. We get mesmerized by flashy names like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, or Balenciaga. But the reality, we're paying for branding, for fleeting glamour, not for quality or true value. Warren Buffett dresses with a simplicity that might surprise you. He wears well-fitted suits, plain dress shirts, no logos, no flash. For Buffett, durability and simplicity aren't just a style, they're a life principle. He once said, "You don't need to wear the most expensive things to prove anything." I saw this firsthand from my former colleague, Sarah, a marketing director at a major cosmetics company in New York. When she started her career, Sarah regularly splurged thousands of dollars on designer outfits, handbags, and high-end heels. But years later, what remained? Credit card debt and a wardrobe full of clothes that no longer made her feel valuable. After her wake-up call, Sarah made a change. She began choosing high-quality basics over trendy luxuries. A classic black blazer, a pair of simple leather shoes, a timeless shift dress that would never go out of style. The result? She saved thousands every year. And more importantly, she felt free. As for me, I've come to understand this. True class doesn't come from the logo on your shirt, but from a confidence within. I don't need $1,000 suit to make an impression, just the commitment to always show up with professionalism, elegance, and authenticity. Take a moment to look at your own wardrobe and ask yourself, am I dressing for me? Or am I trying to prove something to someone else? Answer that question honestly, and you'll take your first step toward financial freedom, starting with the clothes on your back. For credit card debt, I used to think it's just a small charge. I'll pay it off at the end of the month. But that small charge pulled me into a relentless financial spiral. Because credit cards, when unmanaged, are a double-edged sword. On one side, convenience. On the other hand, a brutal interest trap that quietly drains your cash flow. Warren Buffett has never been shy about addressing this. He once emphasized that one of the biggest financial mistakes young people make is living off credit card debt. For him, bad debt is something to avoid like a deadly disease. And I learned that lesson the hard way. Did you know? The average credit card interest rate in the US ranges from 18% to over 25% annually. That means if you owe $5,000 and don't pay it off, you could end up owing more than $6,000 in just 1 year just in interest. Every dollar paid in interest is a dollar you can't invest, can't save, and can't use to build lasting wealth. I clearly remember the story of Dave Ramsey, a renowned personal finance expert. He went bankrupt at 26, crushed by mounting debt, credit cards included. After rebuilding his finances, he made it his mission to warn others about the dangers of consumer debt. Dave is adamant. Always pay off your entire credit card balance every month. No minimum payments, no delays, no compromises. I took that advice seriously. I began tracking every expense. I stopped treating my credit card like a safety net and started treating it like a tool that demanded discipline. Every transaction was recorded. At month's end, I paid off the full balance. Not because I was rich, but because I knew that true financial freedom starts with escaping bad debt. If you're drowning in credit card debt, don't beat yourself up. But don't delay either. Start this month. Set a goal. Not just to make the minimum payment, but to eliminate your balance entirely. That feeling of relief when you're finally debt-free, trust me, It's far more satisfying than anything you could ever buy with borrowed money. 5. The newest tech gadgets. I still remember the thrill every time Apple held an iPhone launch event. Bright lights, dramatic music, features introduced like magic. I used to be the kind of person who'd line up overnight, ready to drop $1,000 on the latest model, even though my current phone was still working perfectly. But then I asked myself, am I owning the technology, or is the technology owning me? Warren Buffett used an old flip phone for years before finally switching to a smartphone. For him, value lies not in how flashy something is, but in how well it serves a purpose. Did you know? For years, his phone had no touchscreen, no fancy camera, just call and text. It worked just fine. Here's the truth. Most tech devices become emotionally outdated long before they actually break. Every year, big brands release upgrades, a slightly better camera, a marginally faster chip, and jack up the price. You spend $1,000 on something that barely outperforms what you already have. So I changed the way I think. I stopped chasing trends and started evaluating real utility. I only upgrade when my old device can no longer meet the needs of my work or life. Mark Cuban, another self-made billionaire, once said he doesn't buy a new phone unless his current one is broken. He's more focused on function than flair. I remember once choosing not to buy a new laptop. Instead, I invested that money into an S&P 500 index fund. A year later, that investment had grown nearly 12%. I hadn't just kept my money, I'd grown it. And my old laptop, still working just fine. And you know the best part? When you start buying what you don't need, you start having money for the things you truly want. Remember, you don't need the newest phone, the fastest laptop, or the flashiest headphones. What you need is wisdom in spending, and the courage to say no to shiny distractions. True wealth isn't built by what you buy. It's built by what you choose not to. 6. Buying lottery tickets. After stepping away from the relentless race to keep up with the latest tech, I began reevaluating other spending habits, those seemingly harmless ones. That's when I realized one of the most deceptive traps quietly draining my wallet was the lottery. It sounds trivial, doesn't it? Just a few dollars per ticket, a few tickets each week. How bad could it be? But when I totaled up the amount I'd spent in a single year, I was stunned. Over $600. That was more than half a month's salary from my very first job. And the worst part, not once did I win a single prize. Warren Buffett wasn't exaggerating when he called the lottery a tax on delusion. Others joke and call it a stupidity tax on the poor. Why? Because while we're buying in a hope with odds worse than being struck by lightning, that money could have been invested in opportunities that are real and within reach. I remember the story of Ronald Red, a gas station attendant and janitor in Vermont. He lived frugally his entire life, never played the lottery, never indulged in luxury, but he consistently invested in blue-chip stocks. When he passed away at the age of 92, it was revealed he left behind a fortune worth over $8 million. All thanks to simple, steady, long-term investing. That changed something in me. Instead of tossing away a few dollars on random numbers each week, I began redirecting that money into an index fund or my emergency savings. The amount was small, but repeated consistently, it harnessed the very power of compound interest that Buffett so often emphasizes. I started seeing the lottery for what it really is. Not a life-changing opportunity, but a multi-billion-dollar entertainment product designed to attract lower-income individuals. Once you understand how it works, you'll see it clearly. The rich don't play the lottery, they invest. Today, I no longer place my hope in invisible numbers. I place it in myself, in my ability to learn, to work, to save, and to invest. And I believe you can do the same. Ask yourself, am I buying lottery tickets out of hope or out of desperation? Then choose the path that puts you in control instead of passively waiting for luck to strike. Financial freedom doesn't come from chance. It comes from the smart decisions we make every single day. 7. Daily coffee habit. I was a familiar face at the local Starbucks. Every morning, without fail, I'd grab a grande caramel macchiato. $1.05 a day, like clockwork. It gave me a sense of comfort, a small push to start the day. But then I did the math. $5 a day, 30 days a month, 12 months a year. That's $1,800 a year, just on coffee. That wasn't just a number. That was a lost investment opportunity, a missed family vacation, a sum that could have multiplied over time if placed into a compound interest account. I recall Warren Buffett once shared that he was perfectly content with making his coffee at home. On some mornings, he'd even drive to McDonald's and choose his breakfast based on how he felt that day. Cheap, simple, and efficient. A man worth over $100 billion drinks coffee economically. Meanwhile, I, still building my net worth, was spending as if I had money to burn. David Bach, author of The Latte Factor, drove this point home. He revealed how small, habitual expenses, like a $5 coffee every day, can silently sabotage your wealth-building journey. Bach helped millions of Americans realize this truth. You don't need to earn a fortune. You just need to spend smarter, starting with the smallest habits. So, I made a change. I bought a small coffee machine and taught myself how to make the exact drink I liked. Every morning now, when I sit down with my homemade brew, I don't just save a few bucks. I feel empowered, like I'm in charge of my money. And you know what? I don't feel deprived at all. Quite the opposite. I feel more in control of my life than ever before. One cup of homemade coffee, one wise decision, one step closer to financial freedom. Take a look at your daily habits. Is there something small that's quietly stealing big opportunities from you? Because sometimes the real problem isn't that we don't have enough money. It's that we're spending it without even realizing it. 8. Eating out regularly. It wasn't hard to spot. Each week, I'd order takeout or eat out a few times, sometimes with friends, other times with coworkers. The costs added up quickly. Even a simple burger or a modest salad could set me back $10 to $20 per meal. Over a month, that easily added up to over $200. And no one talks about this. Eating out isn't just expensive, it's often unhealthy too. Whether it's fast food or a fancy restaurant, the quality and nutrition are usually out of your hands. Once again, Warren Buffett offered a powerful example. I was amazed to learn that the wealthiest man in the world still starts his mornings with a simple sandwich and coffee from McDonald's, and he's done this for decades. While we're out here dropping hundreds of dollars on lavish dinners, Buffett is sticking to meals that are simple, nutritious, and incredibly economical. Then there's the story of Chris Raining, a man from Colorado who transformed his eating habits and saved thousands simply by cooking at home. Every meal he prepared not only gave him better control over his health, but also over his finances. With the money he saved, he invested in index funds, and by the time he was 40, he had achieved financial independence, a dream most people only fantasize about. Inspired by these stories, I made a shift. I began cooking at home. It wasn't just about saving money. It was about taking control of what I ate, choosing fresh ingredients, and avoiding the hidden costs of processed food. From those simple home-cooked meals, I learned something profound. The discipline of eating well mirrors the discipline of managing money. Both begin with a plan. Both require intentional, smart decisions. So, are you ready to change one small habit that could significantly benefit both your finances and your health? Start by cooking your own meals. You won't just save money. You'll be creating a healthier, more sustainable lifestyle. 9. Subscribing to too many premium services. When I look back at my spending habits, one of the biggest realizations I had was just how much money I was wasting on premium subscriptions I rarely used. Have you ever asked yourself why you're paying for a dozen platforms you barely even open? It's one of those traps we fall into without even noticing. Netflix, Spotify, online gyms, work tools, we all have similar subscriptions. At first, it feels like we're enhancing our quality of life. But when I took a closer look, I realized I was paying monthly fees for things I didn't truly make the most of. Warren Buffett, a legendary billionaire, follows a simple yet powerful principle. If you're not using a service, stop paying for it. His clarity on this issue is something we can all learn from. He doesn't care about flashy perks or luxury services. He focuses only on what's essential, what creates long-term value. As for me, before adopting this mindset, I had unknowingly fallen into the trap of oversubscribing. Every month, money was going to services I barely touched. So why did I keep doing it? Just look at successful entrepreneurs like Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. He built one of the largest online retail empires, but remains meticulous about every dollar spent. He understands that unnecessary expenses can impact the budget and even the potential to invest in bigger opportunities. That's why, despite his wealth, Bezos constantly looks for ways to optimize costs and ensure spending remains smart and intentional. He knows that saving even small amounts consistently can strengthen a business in the long run. If you're facing a similar situation, ask yourself this: do you truly need all those services you're paying for? Be like Warren Buffett. Focus on what you actually use and cut out what no longer holds value. It's not just about saving money. It's about gaining clarity and taking control of your financial life. 10. Constantly upgrading your possessions. There's a habit I've noticed in many people, including myself, that often flies under the radar. Constantly upgrading your belongings. Have you ever felt the urge to get the latest phone, a nicer car, or a more luxurious set of furniture, just to stand out? I've been there. Every time a new item came out, I felt the immediate need to own it, believing it would somehow make my life better. But the truth is, this mindset is one of the most common financial pitfalls, leading us to spend on things we don't truly need. Buffett once said, "We don't need to replace things just because we're bored with them." Swapping out furniture, upgrading to the newest smartphone, or trading in a perfectly functional car often serves nothing more than a fleeting emotional fix. But here's the catch. These items lose value rapidly the moment you walk out of the store. I used to change phones repeatedly just for a new feature or a slightly sleeker design, only to realize my old phone still did everything I needed. I had unknowingly trapped myself in a cycle of unnecessary spending. Surely you've heard about Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, who still uses a phone that many would consider outdated for someone of his status. He chooses simplicity and practicality over trends. He proves you don't need the latest gadgets to feel successful. What matters is how wisely you manage and invest your money. When I reflected on the advice of Buffett and others like Zuckerberg, it became clear that frequently upgrading possessions doesn't just diminish the value of your assets. It adds financial pressure you don't need. Instead of chasing every new release, why not keep using what you have until it no longer meets your needs? I tried this, and the result was eye-opening. Not only did I save a significant amount of money, but I also realized I didn't need the latest version of everything to feel content. Buffett's solution is beautifully simple. Use your things until they no longer work. This mindset not only saves you money, but also encourages sustainable living and reduces waste. Look at the most successful people. They don't necessarily have the newest of everything. They focus on making the most of what they already own. So if you've been upgrading too often without real necessity, take a step back and reassess. Do you really need that new item? Or are you chasing a temporary thrill while sacrificing long-term value? This shift in mindset won't just help you save money. It'll help you lead a smarter, more grounded life. One that's focused on what truly matters. 11. Keeping up with others. Life has a way of pulling us into the trap of comparison, and I'm certain you felt it too. We often find ourselves mimicking those around us, chasing what they have or do, for one simple reason: we want to impress. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, does that truly make you happy? Trying to keep up with others, living for the attention or approval of outsiders, often leads us down an exhausting path, one filled with financial stress. Buffett once said, "Live for yourself, not for the approval of others." It's one of the most powerful lessons I've ever heard. He doesn't chase superficial trends or the extravagant lifestyles of others. He chooses simplicity and reality, investing only in what truly matters to him. You may have noticed that many successful entrepreneurs, like Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett, don't live to impress others. They live with clear intentions. They work to achieve real success, not to satisfy a need to show off. When I reflect on Buffett's advice, I realize that true contentment and happiness don't come from luxury or the admiration of others. Those things are fleeting, temporary highs that fade over time. On the other hand, living for yourself And investing in long-term values has not only given me financial stability, but also a profound sense of peace and freedom. Live for yourself, not for the eyes of others. Only when you dare to be honest with who you are, only when you stop chasing social standards, can you find real peace and happiness. You don't need to own things you don't truly need. You don't need to do things just to impress others. Take time to reflect. Identify what truly matters to you. What actually brings you joy. If you feel caught in that cycle, maybe it's time to break free. Don't let outside pressure dictate your life. Your money, your happiness. Let it be you who decides. 12. Paying for convenience. In modern life, I've noticed a rising trend. We're increasingly willing to pay for convenience. Food delivery, home repairs, even small tasks like haircuts, we often opt to outsource them simply because they save time. But when I take a step back, I can't help but wonder, are we overpaying for convenience without realizing that doing it ourselves could save us a significant amount? Surely, you've experienced it too, haven't you? You come home from a long, exhausting day at work and decide to order takeout. Your time feels too precious to waste cooking. But that meal, just a few minutes of convenience, can silently eat into your monthly budget. The truth is, cooking at home not only saves money, it also ensures better nutrition for you and your family. Warren Buffett once said, "If you can do it yourself, don't hire it out." This advice goes far beyond investing. Buffett leads a remarkably simple life. He doesn't throw money at expensive services when he can do the job himself. From cooking his own meals to fixing minor things around the house, he's learned to save by taking ownership of the simple tasks. It's not just about saving, it's about building independence and confidence. Take Elon Musk, for example. The founder of Tesla is also known for getting his hands dirty, personally involving himself in product design, development, and innovation. He's not just a founder, he's a builder. By doing so, he saves costs and, more importantly, maintains full control over his vision. Instead of spending money on simple tasks you can do yourself, take the time to learn and do them. With a little patience and effort, you can fix minor problems, cook your meals, and manage many other tasks without relying on others. This not only saves money, it cultivates self-reliance and initiative, essential traits for success in any field. So, are you ready to change? Start with the small things and see how much you gain from doing them yourself. The price of convenience is sometimes too high, and only by taking control do you truly own your life. 13. Luxury accessories. In today's world, I've come to realize that the urge to flaunt luxury has become a habit for many. We're easily drawn to expensive products, watches, handbags, luxury cars, simply because they offer a polished image. But are they really necessary? Is it worth it if their main purpose is to show off? One story that has always stayed with me is a piece of advice from Warren Buffett. He once said, "A $5,000 watch and a $50 watch both tell the same time." That line hit me hard. Why spend thousands on a luxury watch when its only real purpose is to tell the time? We can choose simple, high-quality items that serve their function well, without paying extra for the status symbol. The truth is, when you choose practicality, you not only save money, you cultivate a mindset of smart, efficient living. Warren Buffett, despite being one of the wealthiest individuals on earth, is famous for his modest lifestyle. He never wears flashy watches or owns lavish items just to showcase his wealth. Instead, he opts for durable, practical goods. He understands that real wealth comes from smart financial decisions, not for showing off. It's a powerful lesson we can all learn from successful entrepreneurs like Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. Despite building a trillion-dollar empire, Bezos keeps his lunch simple and avoids spending money on luxury items. His focus has always been on building value, investing in what truly matters for long-term growth. Practicality, not showmanship, is the key to lasting success. Choose function over flash. A watch or a handbag is valuable only when it serves its real purpose. Invest in what's useful for you and your family, rather than chasing trends. These small decisions may seem minor, but they pave the way to financial freedom and long-term success. So what will you choose? Are you ready to let go of unnecessary luxury To build a stronger financial foundation, start with small, intentional choices today. 14. Lavish vacations. When it comes to vacations, many of us picture luxury getaways, five-star resorts, extravagant dinners, and first-class flights. But is it really necessary to spend a fortune just to have a perfect vacation? I used to believe that extravagant holidays were part of living a successful life. But over time, I came to realize luxury doesn't always bring true joy. Warren Buffett, despite his immense fortune, has a remarkably different perspective. He once said, "Travel is a wonderful experience, but doesn't need to be luxurious." That one line made me pause and rethink the vacations we often chase. Vacations aren't meant for flaunting. They're meant for rest, for discovery, for creating memories. You don't need to stay at a five-star hotel or fly business class to have a meaningful trip. Take Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. Though he's a billionaire, he's well known for his simple lifestyle. He often chooses modest vacations, skipping luxury resorts altogether. He understands that the most memorable trips don't come from lavish amenities, but from genuine experiences, honest conversations, unfamiliar scenery, and unforgettable moments with family and friends. Instead of chasing extravagant trips, look for beautiful, budget-friendly destinations. Go camping, explore nearby cities, or join outdoor activities. These are all great ways to unwind without draining your savings. Think of travel not as a way to show off, but as a way to recharge your spirit. Remember, vacations are for relaxation, not for reckless spending. You can absolutely have fun without breaking the bank. What matters is finding joy in the actual experience, not in expensive goods or luxury services. A memorable vacation isn't the one that costs the most. It's the one that refreshes you, recharges your energy, and gives you stories worth remembering. 15. Emotional spending. Emotional spending. It's a trap almost all of us have fallen into. Have you ever stood in a store, seen something you instantly loved, and bought it without a second thought, only to come home and feel that sinking regret, realizing you didn't truly need it? I know that feeling well. I've been there too. We often get swept away by the emotion of the moment. We believe that item will bring us joy, but once it's in our hands, the excitement fades. That's how people slip into overspending, purchasing things they don't need and later wishing they hadn't. The truth is, impulsive purchases rarely provide lasting value. Warren Buffett once shared a simple but powerful rule. Before you buy anything, wait 24 hours. That advice changed my life. It helped me save money, but more importantly, it helped me become more thoughtful and deliberate in my decisions. When I gave myself just one day to reflect, I often realized the desire was fleeting and I didn't need the item to feel fulfilled. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, is another example. He's spoken about how, in building Amazon, he faced countless investment and purchasing decisions, but he never rushed. Jeff doesn't buy anything, whether for business or personal use, without deep research and a clear plan. His patience and discipline have helped Amazon become what it is today. The solution Buffett offers is simple. Wait 24 hours before making a purchase. Just by doing this, you can avoid countless bad decisions and save a significant amount of money. Shopping becomes a mindful choice, not an emotional reaction. So instead of letting feelings dictate your wallet, give yourself a pause. Build the habit of stopping and thinking before you act. You'll find yourself spending only on what truly matters, on things that bring real, lasting value. 16. Chasing investment trends. Chasing investment trends. It's a trap many fall into, especially when the market is buzzing with promises of high returns from hot assets like meme stocks or cryptocurrency. I wasn't immune either. When the stock market surged, I felt a rush of FOMO, as if I might miss out on a golden opportunity. But after watching the wild swings and gut-wrenching crashes of those volatile assets, I learned a painful truth. Investing in things you don't fully understand can cost you dearly. Meme stocks, crypto, they may be all the rage at one moment, but they're rarely stable investments. Too often, inexperienced investors dive in just because everyone else is doing it, Without understanding the fundamentals, they end up taking brutal hits from the market. I learned the hard way that rushing can drain your finances, and that impulsive investing often leads to painful regret. Warren Buffett once said, "Only invest in what you understand and believe in." That single piece of wisdom reshaped my entire approach. Buffett didn't build his financial empire by chasing hype. He made calculated, well-researched decisions, always grounded in deep understanding. He never rushed with the market. He invested only in companies and industries he knew inside and out. To Buffett, investing is a long-term journey, not a quick sprint to riches. It's about building sustainable wealth with patience and care. You can expect to get rich overnight by riding a wave. Real success comes from consistency, clarity, and a solid foundation. People like Buffett, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk share one thing in common. They stay true to what they know. They don't gamble on trends. They build slowly, wisely, with vision and discipline. Let's invest only in what you understand and believe in. Take the time to study, to research thoroughly, and only put your money into assets you truly comprehend. Don't let yourself get swept up by market hype or peer pressure. The more patient and informed you are, the more likely you'll not only protect your money, but also grow it wisely and sustainably. If you've ever fallen into 1 to 16 money-wasting traps Warren Buffett warned about, you're not alone. What matters is recognizing them and shifting your wealth mindset. Sustainable wealth doesn't come from spending more. It comes from avoiding common financial pitfalls. Once you start mastering personal finance and making smarter decisions, the path to building wealth and achieving financial freedom becomes clearer than ever.